Happy Tuesday, February 18th, and welcome to the Sierra County Commission meeting. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please have a roll call?
Commissioner Paxton,
Present by phone.
Commissioner Day,
Here.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Paxton Hopkins, would you please lead us to the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopkins. Next, we will go on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
I move that we approve the agenda.
Vice Chair Paxton, I believe Commissioner Hopkins has an amendment that he wants to put forward.
if it's okay, I would like under presentation reports to move the Flood Commissioner's annual report before the ORC presentation as an amended item.
I will,
I agree to that amendment, Mr. Chair.
is that a second? I will second that. So there's a motion to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes from the January 28th meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. We had no one signed up for public comment, so we will move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda A through E.
I second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Going on to presentations and reports, Years of Service Award, Manager Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair. So we have 4 awards today. The first one in SCRTA with 2 years of service is Eli Whitney. Mickey will come grab that. Okay, the next one in detention with 3 years of service is Alice Montoya. Next, in facilities with 3 years of service is Shane Atwell. And last, in the road department with 6 years of service is Neil Faulkner. That's all we have.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to department reports, and Billy, since you're halfway up, I don't want to, Billy, I'll make you come back and do, oh. I was trying to save you a trip.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Manager Vaughn, Clerk Whitehead. Pretty straightforward this month. Regular blaning in all the districts. Fired up the dozer and finished up all the dirt work in Monticello at Grace's Bridge, upstream and downstream for about 900 feet each way. Got it all shaped in to kind of match the rest of what the bridge was widened. Going to start cleaning out all the old lagoons. Septic lagoons out at the old landfill. We got a little lot built to where we're going to spread all that waste. And we got to do quite a bit of testing through all that, so it's going to take a few days. And other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
No, sir.
None. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. Ernie?
Good morning. We started out, we got the water turned on down on the Ray, started watering that grass, so we can get it turned green this year. And we cleaned all the weeds up along the side of the road department over there in that ditch. we got all that cleaned up and hauled away. And we've been working on the detention office, stripping floors and waxing for them. This Friday, we'll try and finish up in the kitchen area and get that cleaned up for them, and so we're working on. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mickey?
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Manager Vaughn. I really don't have anything. We have SCRTA board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., and that's about all I have.
How are your bills moving in Santa Fe?
I know that the GRT one did pass committee yesterday, so now it's going to the Finance Committee, so that's a real good one. I do believe that's Senate Bill 137. The 911 affiliate group met with the wireless carrier group, and they came to they're going to support us now. They went from $1.50 to $1, and they would support that, which is still doubles where we're at. So I think this one's actually going to really help us. So, and the reclassification hasn't really moved quite yet.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you. Not a whole lot to report on. We're wrapping up our LEPF funding for 2023, 2024, getting that funding, our Operation Stone Garden funding, and moving into the new fiscal years. The application for this upcoming year's LEPF funding is out, so we're working on that, as well as our final affidavits of annual and biannual training, as well as firearms qualifications, everything the state requires for us to be eligible for our funding. We're getting all that wrapped up, as well as the LERF grant and the LERRF grant, and our reimbursements for each one of those. And that's about it.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Ryan, we'll go to you next.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Manager Vaughn. Wednesday, February 5th, we had a community meeting in Kingston regarding the slash pit that the Forest Service has graciously opened up for us. The residents are actually using it now upon a scheduling basis. So they're doing a lot of self-thinning around their homes, and they're hauling, actually there's a lot out there right now. We're gonna fill up pretty quick on it. And also the fuels reduction project that we'll be getting underway here hopefully in the next month, some of those Title III funds. The next 2 weeks, we have pre-ISO inspections. Fire Marshal's office is coming down to do their annual inspections, to kind of see where we stand. So the next time ISO does their official inspections, we're looking good. We've had a lot of improvements, and then just currently working with Winston just to get them back up to par. Wildfire risk, this season's not looking good right now. We're above normal for wildland fire potential through the months of March through May. As some of y'all are familiar with, I've been doing a lot of no burn days lately just because of the low relative humidity and our afternoon winds. So we've had a warmer, drier winter. Last 2024 monsoon season was very minimal. So we're dry right now. We're actually in severe drought with degrading conditions. So we'll probably see our conditions worsen throughout the summer. It's forecasted to be hot and dry. Hopefully we get a good monsoon just so we can recover. So folks will see a lot of no burn days coming out, and seeing as I call them for the city and Elephant Butte too, we're just gonna follow suit and just do it countywide. Legislative update, we've got a lot of House bills, Senate bills. There's a lot of things from peer support acts to ignition resistant construction. We've got a lot of Wildfire Preparedness Act going on just from the fires that have happened in the state in the past and our neighboring states. There's a lot. There's communication stuff going on. There's volunteer EMS firefighter income tax credit. Some things are passing, some things are kind of coming into a dead end, but this year we threw a lot on the table. So I've been back and forth either via Zoom or Santa Fe trying to support a lot of this. Some good funding's coming through, especially like opening up bonds for EMS Fund Act so they can purchase vehicles and large equipment rather than just EMS training and special projects. But if y'all want a more thorough report, I'll be more than happy to give you one because I've got a lot of information here in our legislative packet. That ends my report. I'll stand for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? I do just have one comment, and it's more of a praise comment for Ryan. We met with the governor's office to request some capital outlay money for the EOC, the proposed EOC that we're wanting to build, and Ryan did a phenomenal job presenting the needs of that project and really hitting home why it is an essential thing for Sierra County to have. So kudos to Ryan, kudos to Amber for putting that presentation together. I think it went really well.
I appreciate y'all's support. We had a good crew of support there in their offices, so hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank y'all.
I shut it off and I knew that too. Next, we'll go to Patrick. Detention.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Morning, Ms. Whitehead, Commissioner, Mr. Day, Mr. Hopkins, Manager Vaughn. I would like to thank Ernie and his staff for an outstanding job they did on Friday. Without them, those pictures you're looking at now, none of that would have got done. And Friday, we're looking for the kitchen to be just as clean. We have the uniform policy that has been revised, and I'm proud to say that the staff are going to be looking uniform and more professional, and I'm going to hold them to a higher standard. Policies are still being reviewed. Hopefully, I'll start revising them here shortly. And there's been some changes I made for transport. The detainees will be transported in uniforms to eliminate safety risk. And finally, morale is at an all-time high. We are moving forward, and any changes I'm making, my staff is adapting to them, and I'm very proud of my staff. And that's all I have for now. Open for questions.
Any comments, questions? None? Thank you, Patrick.
All right, thank you.
Go to Keith next.
Looks a lot different, doesn't it?
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Manager. Not a lot to report this month. It's been mostly business as usual, updating addresses, getting more information in for the Next Gen 911 that we're trying to get wrapped up in the next couple of months. And other than that, just the one claim of exemption this month. And I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, comments? None? Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
I believe that is it out in the crowd. Go to Manager Bond. Anything to report?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I do have a couple updates. One on the fairgrounds. Our kickoff with the contractor is this afternoon, so that project will be underway. I have been meeting with the Hillsborough Community Center, and I'm working with Lisa Kurt on a grant that she'd like to submit for, so we're working on that. We also have about $200,000 left in a grant for capital improvements, and I'm working with them on priorities. Also, the Hillsborough Drainage Master Plan is underway. We did meet with the Bohannon and Houston out there and did a tour, and they're working on that plan. And I want to thank Ryan as well for going with me to Santa Fe to meet with the governor's staff about the EOC. Our request is about $2.6 million to finish the construction of that. And that is all I have.
Any questions, Commissioners? One question I had, Amber, was I'd seen a sign outside that said the Rock and Gem Show was happening again at the fairgrounds, and I was under the impression we weren't having any events.
Yes, we did build in the Rock and Gem Show into the timeline, so they were able to use the fair barn during construction, and that is something that was communicated with the contractor.
Okay, thank you. That is all I had. Commissioner Hopkins, anything to report? Vice Chair Paxton, anything to report?
Negative.
I have nothing to report either. So next we will go on to item D under presentations and reports, the Flood Commissioner Annual Report. And we'll go to Mr. Jones.
Always do that, I'll just lean down a little bit here. I think this is more suited for our governor than me. Good morning, Chairman Day and Commissioners. I did forward a copy of the annual report to Amber. It was a few days late, but we did get it. I hope you all have had a chance to take a look at it. If you haven't, I'd stand for any questions that you have. As of today, we're happy to announce that we did get a project started over at Champaign Hills. I don't know if you all knew about that, but part of that road had washed out. We solicited bids, awarded them a week or two ago, and now they started this morning, actually, so that ought to get wrapped up today, so, well, this week, I'll put it that way. Do you want to know anything about the report, or you have any questions on it, or?
I just, one question, it's not so much on the report, but I know it has to do with Santa Fe, which obviously impacts all of us. So there was a bill that's moving forward pretty well right now to make essentially waters of the state. So, as we all know, the Sackett decision took out a number of, ephemeral streams, creeks, so on and so forth. But the state's wanting to create a state permitting process to do very similar flood work, any drainage issues, is gonna now have to go through a state permitting process. Or do you see that being as really hard hitting for like your ability to get in the creeks, or maybe it's even easier working with the state versus working with the feds? I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on it.
Well, if we listen to your attorney, we can't work in an arroyo anyway, so I guess that'd be your problem. But according to what he said in his report, but there's no question that when you add a layer of bureaucracy, whether it's state or federal, there's going to be some learning curve on it. And depending on an administration, I think could be problematic. I would assume that those permits all flow through the Environment Department. And, we'll just have to wait and see what they do. But I suspect that'll get some legs. I haven't been tracking it, maybe you all have, but the bottom line is anytime you add a layer of bureaucracy that isn't local, it does have some problems with it, and it'll take some learning curves. The bigger counties will probably be able to wade through it a little easier than the smaller counties, and we'll just have to see what happens. My opinion is the Environment Department's overloaded right now, so hopefully if they do take that on, they'll staff that up adequately. And I would suppose that would take a few years to implement, but.
No, I think that's kind of the talking points right now is, as well know, the Environment Department just did away with their air quality permitting process, and now they're trying to throw this surface water permitting. Right. And so there is that question of, whether they're going to be able to manage it or not, but I'll be happy to send you that bill. I'd just love your opinion on it, just kind of what you think.
Yeah, my experience has been those are likely administration-driven bills. Yeah. I think it's appropriate to comment on them, as you can. Those things will get legs or not. I think where we really need to be diligent is if it does pass, the devil's in the rulemaking. So I think once whatever happens with that bill, I think then we need to have a really strong presence in the rulemaking. I think that's where we'll be the most effective, be my guess.
Well, and then I appreciate that comment that you said that the devil's in the rulemaking, and, the devil's in the details, because even within the bill for farming, for our farmers listening to the meeting, it says any normal farming practice is exempt, but it does not define what a normal farming practice is. So what's normal to me may not be normal to the Environment Department, and then that's now subject to a surface water permit under waters of the state. So I do appreciate that, and like I said, I'll be happy to send you that bill just to kind of see, just get your thoughts on it.
And
I think it's going to be a mess of a process, but others think it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to the state, so.
It's a pretty big piece if you look at it. I know, even the feds, worked through it several years as that was happening, so we'll see what they do. But I think if it passes, then I think the county and the newly formed flood control authority, everybody needs to put their heads together and come up with a unified front from a county perspective, and see if we can't be involved in those talks.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Paxton, anything?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Next, we will go on to the ORC presentation, and I believe we have PowerPoint and presenters.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Manager Vaughn. Thank you for having me today. My name is Shauna Hartley, and I'm the Executive Director of the Opioid Remediation Collaborative. A little bit about myself. I've actually worked in New Mexico for almost 30 years as an independently licensed social worker. I started my career in one of the counties that we represent, which is Valencia County, back in the mid-90s. I worked as a CYFD social worker. I also worked at Valencia Counseling Services, which is one of the largest rural mental health facilities in New Mexico at the time. The other half of my career has been spent in administration. I've been an administrator of several outpatient clinics in addition to being the hospital administrator at Turquoise Lodge for a decade. And I started this project in 2022. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So this first slide is really the story of our organization. And I'm going to go through some of the steps with that. So the opioid funding was created based on the opiate settlement dollars, which was funds paid by the pharmaceutical companies to the states and local government because of their contribution in the opioid epidemic. The ORC was created. And the benefit of the ORC joining with 7 different counties is that basically there's an opportunity for increased purchasing power. Together with 7 counties, we're able to actually invest in more impactful projects, resource share, and make a greater impact. When I first started this project in 2022, I started off with a needs assessment, which was both a qualitative and quantitative analysis. I conducted stakeholder groups in all 7 counties. I conducted community listening groups in all 7 counties. I did over 50 interviews with people who either worked with individuals who had opioid issue or in state government. Collected that information in addition to looked at New Mexico data and national data, and collectively what we did is we rolled that up to our first fiscal year strategic plan, which I actually provided to all of you before this meeting. That is basically the action plan for our first year. The next slide. So I'm going to start off with talking about the things that we've accomplished thus far this year. I started off with basically with branding and starting a website. To communicate effectively to 7 counties is very, very challenging. And so we created a website that basically identifies and highlights all 7 counties that we represent. It talks about our organization. In addition to, we have an activities page that updates folks on everything that we've been doing on a monthly basis. We also kicked off our first newsletter that started in January. And if you'd like, I would like to get your email addresses so I can start to send that to you on a regular basis. Next slide. So keep in mind the prevention and the treatment strategies that I'm going to go through. This was a roll-up from the quantitative and qualitative data and the requests from the communities that we service. So all 7 counties definitely wanted to invest in prevention. And if you look at the research, what it really, really says is that when young people use drugs or alcohol, oftentimes they will turn, when they become adults, they are at risk of becoming an addict. So youth prevention is a very, very good investment. One of the first things we did is we are working with the local youth in all 7 counties. Here, I'm actually working with Destiny and Robert. and they're working with the local youth to actually create prevention posters. So I don't know if you guys want to take a look at these beautiful pieces of art.
Thank you.
So our goal is to have a prevention poster from every county that we represent, have a poster contest at the end of that, which then rolls into the next item that we're doing is we're standing up digital boards in our high schools and our middle schools. Digital boards are free for the school, and the benefit to the school is, the benefit for us is we get to post our prevention posters. The benefit to the school is they get to have basically all of their activities posted on these same digital boards. So we're doing that in the high schools and also in the middle schools. And to date, we have stood up 25 digital boards and 26 frame posters like the one I just shared with you guys. So this first prevention activity is really getting the youth involved and using local art to do that. The next slide. This next slide is basically one of the requests from our 7 counties was to provide Narcan training. Narcan is a life-saving medication, so in the event that somebody has OD'd, you can provide Narcan. And it basically what it does is it knocks the opiate medication off your receptor in your brain, and it puts you into withdrawal. We have, I'll talk a little bit here in a minute about the team that I have, but to date, we do have Narcan training available. We can do that with school personnel. We can do that with first responders. Actually, March 1st, myself and our 2 addiction medicine physicians are going to be presenting at the First Responders Conference in Albuquerque. And we're going to be doing part of our presentation is actually going to be around Narcan and basically what you do after an overdose. Because it's not just about administering the medication, it's also the steps that you take after that. Next slide. This next slide, I'm not sure if you guys received this packet. We did a mass mail out. The ORC is teamed up with Deterra, which is a drug disposal company. And the benefit of this type of intervention is, number one, when people are prescribed medication for whatever reason, maybe they have a surgery or they've had something occur where they needed that, they might have small kids in their homes. Once they're done with that medication, unfortunately, sometimes people leave that medication and kids access that. And so what this intervention does is basically it's a pouch. It's good for the environment. You could put up to 30 pills inside of that. And so you can actually dispose of your medications and not have to go to a drug take-back day, not have to go somewhere to do it. Really, there's a lot of research that talks about people have it's not that people don't want to get rid of their medication, it's just an extra step to do it. The other piece of that is that sometimes people in recovery, they are prescribed opiates because they have a surgery or it's something that's temporary, and sometimes when they hold on to that medication, they are at risk of relapsing. And so this is a really good intervention for our communities where people can easily get rid of their drugs without having to go through any other steps to do so. In Sierra County, we actually mailed out 5,498 shipments to your community. And Amber also has some at her office in the event that anybody wanted to come and pick this up. We can give them out at events. And this is really a good prevention intervention for the communities. Okay, next up. This next slide, this is our other prevention intervention with youth. What Stanford Lab is a very vetted, well-known prevention curriculum system. They do stuff with vaping, they've done things with smoking, you know, they've done things for years and years and years. Stanford Lab has come up with a really great curriculum for youth that includes both abstinence and harm reduction. And that's a very uncommon marrying of two ideas, because oftentimes people stand on one side. And one of the things that we really have to recognize is that kids use drugs or alcohol. And if we don't start talking to them about that, then they might not feel safe to be able to get help when they need to, so on and so forth. What Stanford Lab does is they've created a 13-week curriculum. Myself and my staff have actually condensed that into 8 sessions so that we could accommodate the impact in a school setting. It's built for high school students. We have all of the curriculums ready. We actually just stood up the whole curriculum in Infinity High School in Belen. So we have staff ready to basically help any school implement this into their curriculum. It is recommended that they do it every year for 9th to 12th year olds, or 12th grade. I've also met with the juvenile justice system in New Mexico. They have regions, obviously including Sierra, and we're getting ready to actually start an online safety first class for all of the individuals who are in a pretrial program, which would also include Sierra. So we're going to be making a touch point with that system as well. Okay, next slide. So now I'm moving on to treatment strategies that we've come up with. And this treatment strategy was really built for providers. One of the things in New Mexico is that I've been a provider here for a really long time. I've worked in inpatient, I've worked in outpatient, I've worked for the private sector, I've worked for the non-private sector, and any of us who have been in this business, you see people come and they go. And they say it's very challenging to work in New Mexico. It's hard to get through the licensing and certification process. It's hard to get help to get training, to be up to date. And so this treatment strategy was really built to support the providers that we have in our communities. In Sierra County, we have 30. Over here to my right is Lisa, who is actually my resource leader for my project. She helps me navigate through the things that I need to work on. She's a wonderful provider in your area. And one of the things that she's really taken advantage of is that we just did a big trauma-informed training in January. This week, one of my staff is doing motivational interviewing training this week. And my team includes 2 addiction medicine physicians, 3 behavioral health providers, including myself, and 1 RN. So we're here to help people with anything. We're here to help with teaching best practice when it comes to treating people that have an opiate addiction. We also recognize that there's cross-addiction, meaning that someone uses opiates and then they change to meth. Someone uses meth, they change to alcohol. And so we have a whole module of free trainings offering CEUs, continuing education units, for physicians and also behavioral health providers, so that we can strengthen the base of providers that we have now and encourage people who want to work in New Mexico and want to start up services and want to enhance what they're doing. So this is activated. We're doing a lot of really great things. I'm in the process now of helping Hidalgo. I just wrote a grant for Hidalgo County. We are working on trying to stand up a social rehab program in Hidalgo County, which could also help Sierra. And so this treatment intervention is really to strengthen the provider base that we have. Next slide. This next slide is really geared towards the person who is in contemplation. Any of us who have worked with individuals that have substance use disorders, they don't make a decision and they stick with it. Oftentimes, they know they need to stop drinking, they know they need to stop using opiates, they want to, but they also enjoy the experience of using that. A lot of folks who have been chronically using at Turquoise Lodge, we saw folks who were addicted to 4 or more substances at one time. There is a level of brain damage that people experience when they've done that for several years, obviously an impact to your body. So helping someone identify resources and get help is a very, very challenging act. One of the interventions that we're working on is a navigation model. And a navigation model is a model where if I'm a person who needs help, I can call this system, I can get the proper resources that are in place. That person who's helping me perhaps could even call the provider with me to actually get help, to access that help with that person and follow up. So one of the things I'm working on is I'm working with 988, which is an existing system in New Mexico. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I actually have some interesting data pulled from the 988 number is a crisis line that people can call in New Mexico. What I did is I pulled the 2024 data for all 7 counties, and Sierra County is actually the highest user of the crisis line in New Mexico. On average, they receive about 18 calls a day from Sierra County. On average, they receive about 120 calls a day for peer support services, which is not someone who is at risk of trying to hurt themselves or someone else, but somebody who simply wants to talk to somebody. So what we're going to be doing with this 988 already established resource is we are going to be creating enhanced navigation. So having a contract with 988 and not just having, if that person calls 988, that there's actually follow-up, so that there would be someone from their organization who Sierra County is already calling to make sure that they actually get to where they need to go. The other thing I'm working on is, I'm not sure if you've heard of Chess Health. It's an app. We've been paying for that in New Mexico for the last couple of years. The service is really a resource service. They have instructional videos with support, but then they also have a peer warm line service. So we're actually going to be creating one specifically for our 7 counties and uploading all the resources onto that website. Okay. Next slide. My last slide is my exploration with the hub and spoke model. One of the best decisions that the ORC did was to come together and pull their dollars together, because with those dollars together, we're capable of actually creating all the different levels of care that we need. Now, what that might mean is that that resource might be located in one county, and our other constituents might have to access that. But it's better than basically looking at a non-preferred admission process where you're having to go to the ER and you're having to go to Albuquerque and you're trying to get into services. One of the things that we're working on is recovery housing. This service is really for the person who has tried to be well, whether it's an inpatient or outpatient program, and they can't. You know, their environment is just such that it really impacts their ability to be abstinent or not use as much as they want to, so to speak. Our hub is our recovery resource, and our spoke are all the referrals that we're going to get perhaps from the other counties that might not be able to have that. So we are looking at really creating a sustainable system, meaning that helping a provider be able to bill for that service, so it's something that's not reliant on a grant. So I'm actively looking at that in all of our 7 counties. I'm hoping to have more than one hub. And so this is to be continued. The other things, lastly, is I'm working on transportation and drop-in centers. Transportation, for any of us who have been in this business, we know that it's really hard to have a person who is actively using access transportation to treatment. So we're looking at that being perhaps a billable service for providers and employing the individuals perhaps in this housing program that we're talking about. So we're doing more than just looking at addiction. We're also looking at employment. And then we also are looking at drop-in centers. And drop-in centers are basically a structure where recovery activities happen, AA meetings, NA meetings. It's a place where people feel comfortable and safe to be able to get support if needed. And it's also a place where people can learn how to learn some new social and leisure skills, because that's oftentimes when people use, when they're bored and they don't have anything to do. And so that would be this last slide, and these are kind of more long-term projects. Okay. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Vice Chair Paxton, anything?
No, thank you.
No questions for me. Thank you so much for your presentation, and anything that we can do as a county or as a commission to help you, certainly just reach out and let us know. We'll be happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, I will go to Attorney Pato for just some clarification. I know we have a presentation from the Forest Service. Are we able to go ahead and get that one?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, we probably could do it under department reports if you wanted to bring that back.
Okay.
Otherwise, because it hasn't been noticed and the people haven't been advised that there's a presentation from the Forest Service, probably not.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments, questions, or concerns about it?
Nope. We could just add them to the reports, though?
Yeah, if you'd like to talk about it in the context of department reports, that'd be great.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go back to department reports then, and we'll go to Anthony with the Forest Service to go ahead and give his presentation.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Tony James with the U.S. Forest Service on the Black Range Ranger District, and thank Commission and the County Manager for letting us be here to present what we're looking at doing this coming spring. This starts off with the weather, and that's fine. We can go to this. So this is the weather that we've had in the last month of January, February. You can see it's pretty grim compared to the average. Keep the next, go through the slide there. Nope, back to the weather. There's more stuff in the weather there. Just scroll down. There's 20 total slides there. Okay, so here's the remote weather stations from historic, from last February to this February. And you can see kind of where the trend is with the weather. You know, we haven't got a lot of moisture. We're pretty drought. Indices, as Ryan mentioned, here's the drought for the last 3 months, the past 2 weeks, and this was as of last Thursday is when this model was done. So you can see we're going up in drought, just drying out. As we've noticed over the weekend, you know, you saw snow on the Black Range on Saturday morning, and it's pretty much gone now. So it's all leading to this stuff that Ryan was talking about. Next slide. Here's the Southwest look and the New Mexico look. You can see we're right on that edge of Arizona. Arizona has it much worse than we do. That southern part of Nevada, parts of California, and Arizona. Here's the drought scale. There's Sierra County. We're in the moderate drought to severe drought. This goes into some of our ERCs now. We've tracked this to kind of give us an idea of where we're going to be at for the fire season. Keep going down. Here's all the places around the Gila. You'll see Slaughter Mesa, that's up in Camado, Pelona Mountain, Muggy on Baldy, the Burrows over by Silver City, and everything's trending pretty high. Right now we're breaking records from 2011, 12, 13, 22. We're drier right now in February than we were any of those years. And those were all pretty big fire years. We had the Wallow Fire, the Silver Fire, Whitewater Baldy, and the Black Fire. Keep scrolling. Now here's looking at Beaverhead, where right there we were at peaking at the 90th percentile already in into January, beginning of February. And these were updated from the Black Fire because it's a 10-year average. So it tells you kind of where we're at fuels-wise and how receptive fuels are going to be reactive to an ignition source. Keep going. Here's our 1,000-hour fuel moistures. That's the big logs, those logs that are over 10 inches in diameter. And you see we're at 10%, 11% fuel moisture in them right now. Those logs will take like a week of moisture before they start to rise. Keep going. Here's all the roses together, and the 10-hour fuels are like the size of your finger. And that's where we're at. The black line there We're about 10 to 12, or actually we're at 7% fuel moisture on those ones right now. And those are the things that light quickly and burn pretty rapidly. Keep going, it goes over the whole forest area. So here's for the weather zone 110 is what we're in. You know, it just covers all the generalization of the weather. But it shows you that we're super dry, we're gonna have higher temps, our nighttime recoveries are gonna be poor. So we just need to be heads up on this season for fire danger. And Ryan mentioned that with more no burn days. We know that, and it helps us with our staffing. So we've already reached out to get other people to come in from out of the area to help support this fire season as we move forward. Keep going. There was that little snow from last Thursday, and pretty much nobody got much across the whole forest. Where I was on a call just before this, reserves dry. If you look, the Luna is already at 97 percentile on that north end of the forest. Keep going. Here's the precip model for the next, 7 to 10 days. We got 1/10 of an inch. It's not going to buy a whole lot except with the grass, and that's only for a day or two. Keep going. We use this every day. It's the whole Arizona, New Mexico of where our fire danger is. We're at low risk is what it's saying with no windy conditions. But it's trending upward. Keep going. Here's Luna. This is the worst case on the forest right now. And it's showing you where we're trending. We're getting low RHs in the under 20, low teens in a lot of that country, and that's at 8,000 foot. So, keep going. Here's Beaverhead. A lot of you see go up there. This was through the weekend. Low teens again. That's after the storm. Friday was the storm, got us up to 45% RH. And then we're dropping right back down. And then you can see the chance of precipitation just falls to nothing. Keep going. That's Signal Peak over in Silver City. And you're just seeing a trend. This is for the whole Gila National Forest, which is important because we do get smoke impacts if there's any burning or there's a wildfire on the Gila. So I want people to know that it's not just the Black Range we worry about or Sierra County part, it's what impacts Sierra County. And that's why we want to show kind of the whole forest overview so everybody has that idea. When there's smoke in there, it might not be here, but it's somewhere else that's having that impact also. Keep going. Here's the 6 to 10 day, 8 to 14 day outlooks. Again, it's showing that we're pretty dry, above normal, and we're not looking at getting a whole lot of precip. Keep scrolling. Here's the seasonal outlook. This goes into a month or two out, and you can see we're above normal for temperatures, below normal for precipitation. Keep going. Here's the drought monitor. You can kind of see that path as you saw before. Letting everybody know kind of where we're headed. Keep going. Is that it? That's it for the weather part, but it kind of gives an overview of the whole Gila's, the whole Southwest is dry. So we just need to be cautious on what we're doing, what activities we have planned. And then we can go right into the vicinity map. So the Black Range does have a prescribed fire planned. It's up there in Indian Peaks. You can see where Truth or Consequences is, Elephant Butte. You go up over there, it's adjacent to the Adobe Ranch. Part of it is on the Adobe Ranch. It's about 21,000 acres. And we picked the block intentionally due to the type of fuel that's there. It's a pinyon juniper. So it's one of those fuel models that usually historically does not burn unless it's super dry. And that's what we're looking for. Go to the next one. There's a little bit more detailed area of it. And we want to get that burned in the right conditions, so it takes that drier fuels, the hotter temperatures to clean up that pinyon juniper fuel type. That's what we're looking for. If we can't do it because of personnel or the weather doesn't align, there's a 100-page document that goes with this. If we don't meet all 21 elements of that, we won't burn. Or if we go into severity early. There is talks of severity in April for the forest because of the drought conditions. So if we meet any of those criteria or any of those elements are out of place, we're not going to burn. It's that simple, but we're going to be planned and ready to. So if we have the right weather conditions, the right fuel moistures, then we will. It really comes down to do the right thing, follow the plan, and be transparent with the communities. We'll do public service announcements on the radio. We're talking to the commission now, just to let people know this is what is planned. You know, and through the fire season, we will see smoke. We do know that. Somewhere on the Gila it's gonna burn. But if we inform people, let them know the values, the risk. We have a smoke monitor being set up this month at the district office. That's public viewing so people can check the air quality within the community. We're doing those things to try to let people know what's happening. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Vice Chair Paxton, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Tony, thanks for the presentation. It's kind of a bad situation, but what is the situation on the Black Range and the forest for preparedness with the budget freeze and the reductions through terminations of probational folks?
So as of right now, fire has not been affected through this.
Okay, thank you.
We're still processing. There's a little delay in our seasonal workforce coming on due to all the other HR processes happening, but they will still be here probably mid-May. We should be probably 70-80% staffed in fire.
Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Paxton. Thank you, and again, I mean, we have Ryan on staff that is always really good about communicating with you guys, and I think anything we can do to help get information out, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, just please reach out to Brett Malott or myself up at the Forest Service, and we'll gladly communicate what we know.
Perfect. Thank you. Commissioners, next up, we will go to the Board of Finance. Item A is the January reconciliation. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the January reconciliation.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Going on to item B is the approval of suspense fund account for a property tax refund claim, and we'll go to Attorney Pato to
Mr.
present.
Chairman, members of the board, statutorily, we've received 2 protests, one from Quest and one from CenturyLink, property tax protests. And because we received those, we're required to open up a suspense fund to place monies in their tax proceeds in that suspense fund and an interest-bearing account. And then after the court decides the case, either we'll refund that or it'll go up to the state. So that's not pretty questions.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? No. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the suspense fund account for property tax refund.
My second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the suspense fund account. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have no old business on the agenda, so we'll move on to new business. Item A is county road closure request for aerospace test at and around Spaceport. We'll go to Manager Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. In your packet, there's a request from Spaceport to close a portion of a road. It is AO13 between Engle and mile marker 9. It will be for a one day only, a couple-hour period. They haven't picked the date yet. It's either March 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. This has been reviewed by staff and has been approved by staff.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the county road closure request for the aerospace test at and around the spaceport.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the road closure request. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to contracts, agreements, and procurement. Item A is agreement between Holly Asphalt Company and the County of Sierra. And we'll go to our procurement officer, Isaac, to present it.
Morning, Commissioners, Manager Vaughn. Only one large purchase this month for bulk materials for the road department. This pricing is already agreed upon on state price agreement, so the only stipulation that we're concerned about is that the state price agreement ends next month, so we're expecting prices to go up at that point, so looking to get this price in before that price change.
No questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement between Holly Asphalt Company and the County of Sierra.
I'll second.
I have a motion to second to approve the agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Isaac. Item B is the MOU between Sierra County, City of Tiercy, and City of Elephant Butte to share costs for high-resolution geo-aerial imagery. And we'll go to Manager Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This item is for our flyover that I believe happens every 3 years. This is where company flies over, takes pictures, and it is used for our assessor. We do share that information with the City of Tiercy and the City of Elephant Butte. I would like to request the dollar amount on that under item 3. Looks like someone fat-fingered it a little bit. It says 52,415. It's actually 72. Each one of those entities will write us a check for $10,000 to help cover that cost. This is just the approval of the agreement.
It's unbelievable. It's been 3 years already. So, with that, Commissioners, if there's no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the MOU between Sierra County, TRC, Elephant Butte to share the cost for high-resolution geo-aerial imagery.
My second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the MOU. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll go ahead and do items C and D together. Item C is MOU between County of Sierra DWI program and the Department of Finance and Administration. And item D is the statement of assurances from the local DWI grant and distribution program. Manager Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This is the annual agreement between Sierra County and the DWI at the state to get the funding. Unfortunately, Sandra's out sick today, so she's not here to present. But if you have any questions, I hope I can answer them.
Commissioners, any comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve both items.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the MOU with the County of Sierra DWI program and the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration. And item D, the Statement of Assurances, local DWI grant and distribution program.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the MOU and the statement of assurances. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on next to resolutions, ordinances, and proclamations. Item A is Resolution 2025-18, appointing members of the Board of Registration. And we're going to go to the clerk on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the voter removal process that we do every 2 years, every odd-numbered years after the Secretary of State sends out a mass mailing between the primary and the general of even-numbered year, and that gives people 2 years to correct their mailing addresses. As we get those cards back, if we get it back that the address is incorrect, the person automatically goes into suspense or inactive. They stay that way till it is corrected or until they are removed. So this is appointing my board, which we do every 2 years. And they will meet before March 15th to do the voter removal process.
Commissioners, any comments, questions? Nope. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve Resolution 2025-18, appointing members to the Board of Registration.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B is Resolution 2025-19, budget adjustment. We'll go to our Finance Director, Jessica, to present it.
Morning, Commissioners, Manager Vaughn. First, before I present the resolution, I'd like to introduce our latest staff member from the Finance Department, Ms. Taylor Goulart, who just started with us as our accountant and accounts payable staff. She's hit the ground running, and I'm super happy to have her here.
Welcome.
The resolution I'm presenting today is to amend the fiscal year '25 budget. It's a short one today, $10,000 for the MOA with NMSU for CLLA Rancher Education and Outreach, and then additional $6,000 in Fund 422 for the county assessor for the imagery from pictometry.
Commissioners, any comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution number 2025-19 budget adjustment.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Item C is Resolution 2025-20, authorizing the county to submit an application to the Department of Finance to participate in the local DWI grant distribution program. Manager Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This is also an annual item where we have to ask the commission for permission to approve the DWI grant.
Commissioners, no comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution number 2025-20, authorizing the county to submit an application to the Department of Finance to participate in the local DWI grant distribution program.
That was good.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is executive session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive section 10 through 15, A through H, funding and threatened litigation.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
We're in executive session. We will now come out of executive session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we come out of executive session. Nothing was discussed except the litigation, and we determined that staff would continue to negotiate to reach a settlement.
I second.
I have a motion, a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have no action out of executive session, so the only thing left is to announce that our next meeting will be March 18th, 2025, here at the Commission Chambers. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second to adjourn. We're adjourned.